All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to the 2023 edition of our International Women's Day, where we celebrate womanhood and where we have great speakers here today, professional women who are making things happen in the world, around the globe. Before I introduce them, with all honors and appreciation to both of them, I want to be able to share with you what is this International Women's Day and how did it come about? How did we come about that we picked March 8th to celebrate globally, not just in any particular place, all over the world? International Women's Day is a day where women are celebrated globally for their achievements, relevance, and impact in diverse areas and sectors towards making the world a better place. That's what we women do the most. The IWD enables many nations across the world to acknowledge the works that women do and also the challenges that we face without any form of division, economic, political, cultural, or ethics. The International Women's Day began as National Women's Day, observed in United States in February 28 in honor of the 1908 garment workers strike in New York City, where women protested against working conditions. God bless America. This day was designated by the Socialist Party of America. The United Nations officially recognized IWD in 1975, and in 1996, it announced its annual theme, celebrating the past, planning for the future. The fact that we now celebrate IWD, which means International Women's Day, for those who might not know what that means, on March 8th is strongly linked to the women's movements during the Russian Revolution in 1917. Hmm, history's here. The celebration of IWD in different countries around the world has greatly improved awareness on gender equities and has increased the support for women. This celebration has also inspired many women to becoming more and doing more, thereby bridging gender gap and addressing the challenge of inequities, which we still feel every day. This day reminds us of the power that is embedded in womanhood, that superpower, and how this power, when properly harnessed, can greatly influence the growth of every nation, not just one nation, every single nation can be blessed from this. So this morning, with all honor, with all gratitude, I have in our midst two esteemed women of substance, women who are doing it big all across the globe, women who are also doing it big in the home front, in the family front, that will be speaking to us about how to embrace equity, sharing their knowledge, their expertise, their love to inspire, to embrace, and to get us all to know that, yes, we've got the power to do what we are created to do, that our gender has no barriers. And in no particular order, I want to introduce to us and represent to some Miss Sade Dada, and I'll read the bios of each of these uniquely significant women who are doing things around the globe. Fola Sade, fondly called Sade Dada, is an attorney by training, serving as public policy manager, Anglophone West Africa, and connectivity and innovation policy manager for Africa at Meta, formerly called Facebook. Shadid collaborates with stakeholders from government, civil society, academia, and industry to find solutions to complex internet policy issues facing African countries, including privacy, safety, and security, freedom of expression, internet shutdowns, the impact of the internet on economic growth, and new opportunities for democratic engagement. We could never ask for a better hat to put in that God bless matter for making a selection that's so befitting to what we need as women. Shade also works with various teams within Matter to ensure internet connectivity, initiatives, and innovative products solutions are executed successfully. Shade is passionate about bringing high speed connectivity to communities and enabling tech ecosystems in Africa so that individuals can access the internet and technology and their economic and social benefits. Prior to Facebook, Shade tackled important broadband deployment issues through her work at the Wireless Infrastructure Association, United States Federal Communications Commission, and Microsoft. She was also an associate instructor in Indiana University's telecommunications department. What a fit, what an experience that we're blessed to be able to enjoy today. Civically, Shadi has served on the board and leadership teams of several organizations, is a former candidate for the Maryland House of Delegates, my great state here in the United States, and is the recipient of several awards for her dedication to community service. We witness that every day, a busy woman making time to be with us today, not saying that, oh, this is a nonprofit that is not so big a name, but she's here because she knows that we care. And that's Sade for us. So thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. And I'm not done yet. I'm almost done. And I will stop in a minute because when people have done so much, we're not reading their bios because we just want to read it. We're reading to inspire people to know that the types of people that we bring to you are people who we know are doing things to make a difference, who are doing things not just for themselves, doing things for the betterment of others. So she's so civically engaged. Community service is one of the mantras. That is how I got to meet her. Her service to the community. Shade earned her bachelor's in journalism from Georgia Southern University, her master's in telecommunications from Indiana University, and her Juris Doctorate from Indiana University Moore School of Law. Look at those antecedents, guys. This is someone who got her education, still paid it forward, still got a chance to teach in that university before she took it further. So when you're looking for a woman who is well-rounded, a woman who we can say the right peg in the right hole, clearly speaking, we know we don't need to look further. We have two of them right here. And Shade, we welcome you. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. And God bless you all. I am also going to go, and you will hear voices of young ones in the background. This is what International Women's Day is about. People are working from home and juggling things and showing up because they committed to it. So no matter what family brings to them, they're not saying, you know what, I'm going to delete this assignment because family brought this to me. I'm still going to show up. So if you hear voices, yes, that's what we do as women. We do it all and we balance it well. So be prepared to hear some young voice in the background, but it's all good. The more, the merrier, just so that you know. And now I'm going to shift to my dear sister, Okuchi Praise, who is the founder, CEO of Peridot School of Languages, a language platform that is intentional about raising relevant global individuals. She served as the publicity secretary of the Young Global Leaders Network. She's a fellow with the Nigerian Prize for Leadership Ambassadors Program, 002. Praise holds a bachelor's degree in French language from Alex Ekweme Federal University, a great university in my home country, Nigeria. Praise is a public speaker and a digital enthusiast, a content writer, poet, and podcaster who loves to inspire and encourage people through her content. That's what women do. And we're happy to have one right here. Praise believes in sustaining relationships. To this effect, she recently shared her 2021 experiences on the African Independent Television. That's one of the most popular TV stations. Praise is passionate about empowering young women and youth. She's also an author of the anthology Cluster of Hollis. She looks forward to being part of the decision makers of her country, and you will, and you are, and still a work in progress. More than a work in progress. It starts in the heart, and I see changes in that great country when people like you step it up and do what you need to do to take your rightful position. She is a corporate communications officer with a School of Government and Politics. So it gives me great pleasure and honor to welcome these two esteemed women to our midst this morning. And we thank you all for joining us. Those who are joining now, those who will join later, we say thank you. And of course, we're going to share this on other platforms. So please welcome with me these esteemed ladies as I bring them up to complete that introduction. I know I didn't do a lot of justice to some of it, but if there are things that we need to know, it's our floor for the next 45 minutes. We're going to be engaging ourselves and learning from you and seeing. First and foremost, thank you. We appreciate you. On behalf of the Board of Director of Legacy Premier Foundation, we say thank you for coming. Thank you for showing up and showing out. And the theme this year melts my heart when I heard it. Embracing equity. Embracing equity. And both of you ladies have done great work, not just in the community, in your corporate world, in your academics. How does that resonate with your spirit as women of substance? What is embracing equity? How does that pan out when you think of it? And and in any particular order, whoever wants to go first can go. We want to hear from both of you on that.
Thank you so much for having us on the call. Thank you for having me. I am just elated by the work that I continue to see Dr. Remy Dule do, both as the founder of Legacy Premier Foundation, but also in the work that she's done in the community. And I just love being a part of everything that she touches, because she's the real deal. So thank you for having me. Embracing equity to me really means that we understand the value that women bring to the table. Not just that we need to have women as part of conversations or decision making, but that when you say embrace, it means understand the importance of women being an equal contributor to every fabric of society. There is great value in diversity. And when we're talking about gender, we recognize that women have unique experiences and circumstances that they've dealt with throughout their lives that make them able to very, very key contributions to decisions in the private sector or in academia or anything like that. And I'm sure we'll get into more details about that, but that's the top of mind when I hear embracing equality or equity.
Wow. Thank you so very much. That's a lot. That's a loaded explanation of what that means. And these ladies did not get any pre-questions. They're not scripted. These are just organic responses to the theme. Thank you so much, Shadi. And praise, we want to also take it to your level. What
Okay,
does that mean to you?
all right. Thank you so much, ma'am, for having me. Thank you so much, Shadi, for laying that foundation. Okay, I'd like to add that just like she said, equity involves bringing women to the table, to the decision table. I'll share briefly one of my experiences while working with Africa International Trade and Commerce Research. I was the only woman in the office, and you can imagine such well, I say opportunity. At the same time, I had to scale myself through to prove that I was good enough because I had men around me. So, what does this mean? This means that we need to have more women come into number one, the decision making process, the decision making stages, have more women on the board of directors, have more women in places that might seem to be just male dominated in quotes, and not just having women there, having them express themselves freely without doubt, without low self-esteem, and without any fear of not being capable. So yeah, that's what I have to say concerning equity, and I hope the men would get to hear this.
Right. Thank you so much. We're hearing it. We hear you. And I echo some of your expression. Of course, I'm not in the tech space like both of you, but tech is something that we have to embrace. I
Yeah.
personally, I'm not one of those tech gigs, but I find out that I have to use it. So what do? I've got to learn from people like you to ensure that that does not limit what we have to do as women. And one thing as women that we do most is nothing stops what we plan. Nothing stops our commitment. I just used an example a minute ago. When we have commitment and life shows up and situation for family shows up, we're not quick to say, guess what? I can't come today because my daughter is not feeling well or my son is not feeling well. We still find ways to say, you know what? The world is waiting for my voice. I want to show up. Yes, my baby might make a little cool sound in the back, but it doesn't take away from the content of what I'm going to share for that time. That's only women think that way. Other people will think and say, oh, there will be another opportunity. What if there's not? What if that voice of yours is needed for someone today? Yes, there will be another opportunity. Of course, we'll always have both of you. But what if that one person who needed to hear you, who needed to be inspired by your beautiful resume, won't be around for that next time? So I want to again submit and say thank you. Say thank you. Technology is the real focus with the International Women's Day this year. And I couldn't ask for better people to bring on board to do justice to this. Shadi, I'm going to pick on you because I know your company does a lot of great work. Not only do they do great work, they put great people, put the round peg in the round hole all the time. Because I've watched you and a few other people that are your colleagues. They do that. So, what is that one thing that can be done more to make technology more accessible, especially for us women, not just accessible to ensure that we learn the basics of it? How can we hear from someone like you who sits on so many boards to say, what do we need to do?
Sure, thank you. You know, one of the things, as you mentioned, the around the theme for today is that, I mean, for the International Women's Day is innovation and technology for gender equality. And the first element that I think of when we talk about access for women is whether they are connected at all to the internet. That's like the base foundation. A lot of research, which I won't get into all the details here today, but there's research done by the economists called the Inclusive Internet Index, which shows that across the globe that there's a divide between men and women having access to the internet. And so for me, that's one of the reasons why I focus so much of my career on broadband access. Because if you don't have access to the internet, all the other elements that we like to talk about, business development, entrepreneurship for women, is predicated on being able to access the internet and devices that enable you to do this type of business and work. And so for me, I think this is key and should be top of mind for anyone who's interested, truly interested in breaking down barriers for women and promoting gender equality. Even if it's not the space that you necessarily have the expertise in, recognizing as someone who's part of this fight for women that the baseline for this equality in the tech and innovation space is access to the internet. I think is really huge, and promoting organizations and companies that help women get that access is key. I also think that apart from having the access to the internet, a lot of work must be done around digital literacy. And so, there are companies like mine that do that, but there are also a number of nonprofits and businesses that are specifically designed to train women on how to use technology, both existing technology and technology that is coming down the pike. And I think that we should amplify those businesses and those organizations that have that charge. They sometimes are the ones that don't get a lot of funding via grants. And so I think that if we channel some of the energy that we use to promote some men focused businesses or entrepreneurs that are largely getting most of the funding being men, if we channel some of that funding towards digital literacy initiatives and efforts, I think we'll also see an increase in women participating in the tech ecosystem. I think those are the most pressing, from my vantage point, necessities in order to promote equality in this space.
Right. Thank you so much, Shadi. Praise, if you could also come from your perspective on that same question.
Okay, right, you said, I feel like Shadi has capped it all, but then I'll just add one or two. Like she made mention of digital literacy, which is very important. Right now, you see a lot of tech organizations trying to get or trying to involve women in their space. But the question is, what are the roles of these women, other women who have this idea, towards those who do not even have the idea of tech at all? So how are these women helping out? So we're not just talking about men this time around. Are these women who have the access to grants or who have the financial capacity? Are they helping out to the women who do not even have the financial capacity? Are they helping out women who are struggling to have access to these? Are there trainings on ground for women who want to have access to these opportunities? So I think women also have
We can't hear you, Praise. Praise, we're not hearing you.
I think her connection may be poor.
Right. And these are part of things that are essential, that ability. And I know, Shadi, you can probably chime in while we're waiting for her to regroup again.
She was talking, Praise was talking about the onus that's on women to help other women. I think that's where she was going with that conversation. And I totally agree. When we as women are in a place that have influence, I think we do have to pull up other women behind us and make sure that women are involved and use our influence. I think, Praise, you're back.
Yeah. Yes, apologies for that. My system is about running low, but yes. So that's it for now. Women need to also learn to pull their fellow women up.
That's called sisters helping sisters, right?
Exactly.
Your success does not stop your other sister's success. Together, we are stronger together when we purpose to add value to one another. And that's what I'm hearing you all say. So some of the onus is not just on the corporation, is on some of us, some of you who are in that space, who will be at the table to mention what can be done to enhance. And that's why when I see the likes of Shadi and Praise, it's exciting, especially for Shadi, who sits in decision-making capacity with her company and understands firsthand what it entails to serve the underserved. It makes a difference. So I have another question. How can we ensure that gender equality is at the forefront of policy making and decision making process?
Praise, do you want to go first since I keep going first?
Yeah, Praise.
I mean, I think you can go first since you're on the policy line. So I'll just grab that.
Okay, so for me, one of the things that I've seen that worries me in the policy space is sometimes we get these quotas that come up where policymakers will say, okay, we need to reserve X number of spaces for women in a particular agency or in government-run organizations. I don't mind quotas, but I struggle sometimes when these roles are just filled to be filled. And so one thing that I think is key from a policy making standpoint is to ensure that the right people are being selected. And what does that look like? Demonstrating for organizations and companies, if you're going to have a quota, you explain to them what are some of the barriers to women applying for certain roles, and how do you meet women where they are? How do you go and find qualified candidates? I think that's a key element, rather than just saying, okay, you need to have X number of women in any given company. Them showing how to go about doing that effectively, I think is a part of those sort of policies that is sometimes missing. So there are experts that work in this space who are human resource experts who understand some of the idiosyncrasies of targeting women in particular for specific roles. That's one element of policy making that we could do better at. The other thing is, once you have women in policy organizations, what role do you actually have them in? So across, I'm most familiar with policy making in the US and in Africa. And in both places, you see this phenomenon of having women in government agencies, but in positions that aren't necessarily the most public facing or the most influential within the organization. So I think policies that are geared towards ensuring that women not only are in these spaces, but also are in positions of authority are extremely important, because who better to influence policies that are specifically geared to women than women themselves? And not only will women being in those positions empower women, but it will also be better all across the board for the economies of these countries. I think those are some of the key elements in policy making that I would point out off the top of my head.
Right. Thank you so much, Shadi. Do you have some additions, Praise, on that? Or I can go to the next question. All right. I think we lost Praise again. So my next question, now that we know that it is possible to have super duper great women in policy, in tech, and all that good stuff, how can we begin to prepare our girls to be interested in that area. And oh, I think we just lost praise. So Shadi, I'll pick on you again. I think we just lost praise from
Yeah.
connection.
I think by doing what you're doing here, Dr. Duyele, that having opportunities for girls to see women in these spaces as an example is a very big step. It's hard to imagine yourself doing something that you've never seen someone like you do. And
Hmm.
so the more that we begin to see women in tech and innovation, um, we have to use our voice to empower the girls coming behind us to say, hey, I did it. You can do it too. So, what that looks like is going to participate in programming at schools. So, programming that captures girls very early on in their education. I'm talking preschool, elementary school, middle school. So primary education, I think, being very, very key. A lot of programs tend to focus on secondary education or high school level, and then university. But I think capturing the girls earlier than that, while they're still trying to process what they want to do with their lives, I think is key. And when they see more of us and they hear from more of us, they realize that they can do it as well. It is extremely important for us to take out the time in our busy schedules to talk to young girls about these particular fields that tend to be very male dominated.
Right. I thank you so much, Shadi. I think I see praise is back. Would you like to add some comments to that?
Yes, please. Yes. Concerning what Shadi said, I think part of what we can do is we can have visitations to school where these young girls are and take this to them, more like a grassroots system. So we have people like Shadi, and we also have people like Romy come up and train these girls. So they are caring not just from, let's say, they are not just caring, but they are also seeing, having to ask questions, and answers are being provided to them as well, solutions. And beyond this step, there are also, if we could have mentorship platforms for these younger ones, have them go through the process and more like their hands being held, just so they do not make mistakes, or they are not bullied in quote in that system. Yes, I think that would be a very good solution.
I
I
love that. I love the mentoring. That's really great. And I think that sometimes like do, we think of mentoring as formal sometimes. Like when we're in this space, I see programs that okay, we need to have X number of people sign up and all of that. And I think that's great. It requires financing to be able to do that on a large scale and do it well. But I think also taking advantage of informal mentorship opportunities where you look in your daily lives, who am I committing to? Um, and whether it's someone at church or your mosque or family members or people in your neighborhood, community organizations, I think even on that scale, mentoring is important, and we should spend a lot more time on that. Thank you, praise for that
Thanks.
nugget.
absolutely. I want to echo that thanks too, because mentoring is all that matters. I mean, that's how we share and pay it forward. That's how we can inspire, like Shadi said, younger people want to see whatever they're interested in. Do they have similar people who look like them, that have been through it? They can see themselves in it when they see that, oh, someone who looks like me, who talks like me, who is like me is part of it. Then they get more excited and see the possibility. Sometimes it's hard to see possibilities when you haven't seen experience. And what both of you are doing this morning is phenomenal. I mean, sharing your experiential learning, your knowledge, your heart with the world. I mean, some of this thing, some of the girls in our mentoring program are going to hear this, so they see the possibility that yes, you can be a big person at Facebook, and you can be policy related, and so on and so forth. Because we always think that when things happen, it happens because that person is just special. When, if you heard me read their bio earlier, you would know that they have been sowing seeds. There has been a process of what they have been doing individually, academically. They didn't just let it end in academics. They took it to public service, they took it to community service, they took it to mentorship, and so on and so forth. All of this are what would create that sum total of that woman that we need to be. And a day like this is very special because every woman is important. Every single woman is important because every woman brings their uniqueness to the table, and we can feel and hear all of those things from our great esteemed speakers this morning, and it just melts my heart to know that there will be people who will benefit from this. It could be a word, it could be their presence, it could be just the expression of some of the things that they have seen, because I'm reading some of the chats. People are interested in partnerships, they're interested in mentorship, they are also agreeing. I'll read a comment from Linda Dorman, one of my friends and sister, and someone in that leadership, young development space with 100 Black women. She said, we must prepare girls, particularly for policy work, to advance change. So someone like that, we have girls together, we can have a Shadi, I'm picking on you, Shadi, I know you're super, super busy, virtually come talk to them. And all they have to do is hear that and say, oh, that's that person that plants a seed in their heart. And who knows where they're going to take that seed to. And when that seed germinates, they're going to reference back. People always know who sowed a seed in their life. They do. And International Women's Day is a day that we should all celebrate. But I do have another question for you guys, because I'm watching the clock and making sure that we don't exceed the time that we have committed to our viewers this morning. So we are all with various corporations. And of course, the digital divide is so evident in the developing nations. So, so evident. And we know the brightest and the smartest brains are all over the world. It's not in any particular country. And with the way we have been hearing, Africa has the most youthful population. And the few men and women who have brought themselves to a level of being focused with tenacity to create things that has to do with technology, they have done phenomenal jobs. The world have celebrated them, the world have supported them, the world have invested in them. I'm going to pick on Shadi first. What can we do better to speed up this digital divide, knowing that we need each other? How can we speed it up? And what can the developing nations do? And what can the developed nations do? Together we meet each other and have a better world.
Sure. So for me, I'm all about solutions for us, by us. What do I mean by that? When we're looking at the developing world, like I mentioned earlier, I'm most familiar with African countries than anywhere else. But we have people who are skilled in what's necessary to bridge that digital divide. It's just about getting them the capital that's necessary to be able to put those innovative solutions together. And so one thing that I'm very passionate about, I'm tired of looking to government as the solution. We've got we've got people who have companies. I mean, well, I didn't get permission to start naming companies, but there are small businesses, there are entrepreneurs out there right now who are seeking funding to be able to bridge the digital divide. Think about solutions like this, where you have access to the internet mobilely through power source. People don't think about stuff like this. Access to the internet via Wi-Fi on buses. And you know, there are smaller companies. Sometimes we look at big telcos to solve this problem, but there are actually smaller companies that are able to be nimble and innovate and put up community networks, towers in rural communities to bring internet access to hard to reach places. And they're coming up with very, very innovative ways to do that. And so I hope that people who have the capital are able to look beyond some of the bigger companies that are already established, to look at some of the homegrown companies that are trying to solve their own communities' issues. And we have to not only have open calls or invite them to come to us, but we have to go to them. So that looks like being involved in locale specific organizations, partnering with organizations that know what's going on in those communities. For instance, I spent some time in Liberia last year, and there's an organization there that gets it. They know who's who in all of these different communities, these small communities. We need to partner with those type of organizations and channel funding sources to them so that they can be the solution to their problems. And also, they're the ones that are going to maintain it. So sometimes we bring as an aid mechanism into communities some type of solution, and there's no maintenance of it. There's no teaching of how to keep it going. You kind of solve for that issue when you focus on empowering the community itself to come up with that solution. And so for me, I think at this point, I mean, I guess you could say the government still has a role in licensing, and it still has a role in giving tax credits and those sorts of things to enable the environment. But the government is not necessarily the solution. We have key stakeholders, key small businesses that are developing that we need to be able to empower to do what they already know how to do best.
Wow. Wow. What a handful of great stuff. Capital, capital, capital. For those who know my background, that is what is my background. I'm a vice president of a bank, and I know without funding, a lot of things can get done. But what really got my attention was what Shadi said about the government. They're not the solutions. They will help and do their part, like she said, the licensing, the tax credits, and all of that. But the solutions are within us. And the solutions will come as a result of partnerships, of identifying those who are already doing it, working together in tandem with those who are doing it, and working together, especially for us women. When we work together, we get more results, we get better things done all the time. When our mind and our spirit is in one accord and we have a common goal of finding solution to something, it will get done. So thank you, Shadi. That is loaded, loaded, loaded. Homegrown solutions, that's the bottom line. That's what's going to be sustained. Because if you build it, you're going to grow it. You're going to ensure that it doesn't fall, because you built it based on the local, the organic intelligence of what you know can work. You built it based on what you see that have worked. And you built it with people that you know would make it work. So when it's built, it's going to be a baby that you all grow together. And then you pivot to that next level whereby you can bring every and all bodies to be part of it. Thank you, Shadi. Great, great dialogue on that. Praise also for someone that's also on the continent. What do you see as ways that we can support one another? Because not everybody is digitally literate. There's still some people who want to be literate, but they can't. They don't know the how. What can we do in our own little way? Let's leave the government out of this for a minute. What can we do to enhance such?
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Shadi. I'm learning a lot. I'm learning a lot. So part of what I would like to say, also to throw more light on what Shadi said, positioning and partnership. Positioning and partnerships. Shadi made mention of positioning yourself. So as either a startup or as someone who needs help. However, You must learn to position yourself. You must be in strategic places. Example, we have Remy who's doing awesome in through the Legacy Premier Foundation. It's an opportunity to strategically place yourself. We have comments coming in, and who can tell? You might just Some might just be interested in what you do, what you're doing for your community, and the partnership picks up from there. So that's where I'll go to partnership. A lot of startups and organizations must understand that you might not 100% try on your own, especially where you do not have the capacity needed, capacity financially. It might even be in human resources. So once you understand this problem, and I don't think it takes so much to reach out to organizations that you believe will be able to help out. And most importantly, I want you to know that you should be able to bring in solution. So there should be a problem that you can also solve. Because when you reach out to these organizations who you intend to partner with, the next question you ask, what are you bringing to the table? What do you have to offer? So you must have something to also offer. It's not enough to say you're a small organization or you're struggling with technology. You learn that there are organizations higher than you that can actually help, but they need you to position yourself because these things are actually available depending on how well you position yourself. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Praise. You heard it from Praise. You've got to bring your skin in the game. They want to see what skin do you have in the game. What is your investment of whatever you want to do? They want to see that. Yes, you have that beautiful business plan. You can speak eloquently with your presentation. They're looking, okay, this is so important to you. And being a former financial person, we're thinking, okay, great idea. What is your risk that you're taking? So that brings me to another thought. All of the things that Praise just said, the positioning, the partnerships, they are possible. They're only possible when you connect with opportunities that are around you. They're possible when you attend events like this. This is a free event. None of those people are paid to be here. They are pouring to the community. So when you are able to plug into stuff like this, you never know who that person that will meet you or that you would meet. Most of the time, I tell people, you might think, oh, I don't need anybody. Well, people need you. They need you. So if you don't need anybody, other people need you. So the positioning, the partnership, and all of those great things are going to be needed. And doing it afraid, you might say, "Oh, I don't even know how to get on YouTube. I don't need to. I don't need to know how to. I don't know how to do this." Just try it. Do it afraid. It's not gonna hurt you. It's not gonna hurt anybody. Click on it, and you'll be amazed. I used to be so frantic with all this technology stuff. Then when I knew that I don't have a choice, I've got to get on it. Yes, I like to speak, but who is going to hear off? So you might be like me and you want to get your digital literacy. Just do it. Just do it. If you have a struggle, find those who are doing it. What can you do? How can you support people? That way, you will also get your own support. Like one of my organizations, Sister for Sister Network, we always say that here's what you're going to get. When you support other sisters, they are also going to support you. And the support they give you will be in what you need. And when they need support, you don't have to be an expert in that field. All you do, you show up. You might be the one doing the registration. It's okay. I used to do that when I was in corporate America. I would always volunteer for golf tournament. I didn't even know how to play golf then, guys. But I would say, I can do your registration. Why did I do that? I wanted to meet the real decision maker, those people who have the money, who can be my client. So by the time I show up, I know I'm a vice president. I don't need to feel like I'm too little to be registering people to come in. But what did I wanted to do? I wanted to give myself permission to be in that room so I can meet the Shades, the Praise, and all those big wigs from big companies that ordinarily you can't meet. And it never fails for me because by the time I show up correctly as a professional. But all I'm doing is registering people, or sometimes I'm picking balls. But I knew my agenda. My agenda was to be in the room so I can get the support I need. So if you're out there, you've got to plug in. We cannot do this alone. This woman raised journey to excellence cannot be done alone. It's got to be done together. And that's why we're bringing these voices to you today. And for those who will hear it later, you cannot do it alone. Find your own network. Find your network. Join the Legacy Global Network. Join places that you know that you're not alone, because iron sharpeneth iron. Yes, you might be super, super bad sister, but if all you do is just you, yourself, and you're going to be bored. You will be superly bored. You've got to look beyond what is necessary for you. Sometimes you've got to put yourself down and just look away for a minute. Don't be buried in your situation. Our sister this morning said that, and I don't hear my baby anymore. She did a disclaimer that this is what happened. We might hear some noise. It has not disturbed anything. She could have equally called this morning and said, guess what? I won't be able to come. Oh, if my daughter is sick, that's priority. But that's what women do. We just want to show up when we have committed. So guys, I'm going to ask one quick closing questions so that we can honor everybody's time who is still on, and we said an hour, we'll make it an hour. And I know you guys also have to get about your business. I know how that is. So for the good of everyone that's listening now and that will come later globally, what are your parting words for us? What can we do this year that we said the theme is embracing equity? It's cracking the code. We call it cracking the code in the technology place. What is your parting words for all of us, developing nation and non-developing nation, the developed ones? I pick on you, Shade.
Parting words for me is speaking to women who are watching this. We are the solution to this problem. We have to be loud. We have to create the space, shove our way in where we are not necessarily invited. We have to decrease the imposter syndrome voice that we sometimes have in our head, and be bold to recognize that the training that we have, the education, the experiences are enough to go to the next level. I think if we believe in ourselves, that confidence will exude, and it will be very, very difficult for folks to look the other way. I have worked really hard at doing that, and I still have a lot of work to do. The second thing, as part of my parting words that I would say, is get your people. Who are your people? The folks in your circle that you rely on, that either are sponsors for you or they're just sounding boards for you. I have friends at work, I have friends in the community, I have family members who are a part of my direct circle who, when I'm feeling like I can't do something, they're the ones who remind me that I can. And they're the ones that send me opportunities that I should apply for, things that I should sign up to do. They're the ones who encourage me. Getting the right people around you are going to be essential to moving your own career forward as a woman. And so I hope that no matter what age or stage in your career you are in, that you work at almost just as hard on that circle, that core group that you're going to invest in, because they're going to invest back in you. And those are my parting words. And I want to say thank you so much, Dr. Dile, for putting this together. Thanks for always remembering the importance of these types of conversations. Thank you, Praise. It was a pleasure to be on this platform with you and to hear your point of view and perspectives. And to everyone who's watching, if you want to connect with me, please find me on LinkedIn. Drop a note that you were participating in this program, and I'd love to connect with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shade. Praise, your parting words, and then I'll close it out. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you. So I would like to encourage everyone out here not to allow her pain or situations in the past to slow her or hinder her from being a voice in this generation. a lot of us women who have gone through some things that might be unpalatable, be it in our corporate world, in the family, we tend to allow that belittle us or make us shy. And there's the inner voice looking for an opportunity to voice out, to speak up, to thrive inside of us. And then this is an opportunity to let you know that you can do that regardless of whatever it is that you have gone through, especially with such platforms like the Legacy Promo Foundation, of which I'll use this opportunity to say a very big thank you again. And to every woman listening here, use this as an opportunity to connect with such organizations. And like Shade said, you should also connect with her because I believe you learn a lot. I have learned a whole lot. And please feel free to also reach out whenever you want. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. Have a lovely day.
Thank you all so much. I don't know what else to add to this. Shadi said, be bold, believe in yourself, just be yourself. Have a village around you. The village will be different layers of your family, your church family, your friends, your co-workers. You've got to build a village around you. There's no other way to say it. If you haven't done it, ladies, make that your present for this IWD, International Women's Day for 2023. You need those people that you can call to lean on, to glean on, and that is important. And of course, Praise said it also to cap it up. She said, let go of the pain of the past. Let it be a gain. The past is the past. Let the pain become gain. And I hope that all of us, women listening to us this day, understand that there's no one that has not gone through pains. There's no one that's not going through pains. But one thing for sure, we've got to let God, and let it become gain. Stay plugged in. Have a network. Your network will determine your net worth. And your net worth is not just about the money you have in the bank. It's not. It's about the resources, the people that can share their genius to support what you believe in, to support your passion, your purpose. Because sometimes money can make you happy, most of the time. But when you're impacting lives, this morning, I can express my you. On this day, you have touched lives, doing the because you showed up, because you gave a true voice of originality. Thank you so much. I wish you both much all that you do. I will always be a fan. You can count on by the grace of God. You can. So I thank you so much. And for all our leaders, your comments have been sisters for this important. We need each other. Congratulations, Linda. Thank you all that have stopped by this morning to join us. And the station is here to continue in the community. So if you're looking for, you won't regret it. Once again, viewers, thank you. I wish you all the best. Embrace equity. That's the message. Go do it. God bless us.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.